from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour. DD India, India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, viewers, and coming up in the next hour. US President Joe Biden pushes for Gaza ceasefire as Hamas remains open to truce. Bangladesh remains on edge. 6 arrested, 21 detained in case involving death of an advocate during clashes. International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor seeks arrest warrant for head of Myanmar's military regime for crime against Rohingyas. And IFFI 2024 pays tribute to cinema legends by showcasing NDFC NFAI's restored masterpieces. We begin with updates from Bangladesh. Bangladesh has plunged into an unprecedented turmoil. At least 6 people have been arrested and 21 detained so far in the case involving the death of an advocate during clashes following the arrest of Hindu monk Chinmay Krishna Das Brahmachari. Meanwhile, India-based think tank Risk and Rights Analysis Group, or RRAG, has gone after Yunus government by filing a complaint with United Nations Working Group on what they call the arbitrary detention of Das by Bangladeshi government. Here's more in this report.
The visuals on your screen are of massive protests in Bangladesh that follow the arrest of the Hindu leader Chinmay Krishna Das Brahmachari. He was arrested on Monday on sedition charges and denied bail on Tuesday. Bangladesh's High Court on Wednesday asked the government to inform the court about the stance that it took regarding Hindu religious organization ISKCON, its activities, and what steps it has taken about it. The court also passed the order after hearing a writ petition seeking a ban on ISKCON and issuance of Section 144 in Chattogram and Rangpur to ward off any unwanted incident. The court ordered Attorney General Asaduzzaman to apprise them of the government's stance over the issue by Thursday, reports United News of Bangladesh. The Chittagong police have arrested at least 6 people suspected to be involved in the death of the advocate Saiful Islam during clashes, while police attempted to transport Sanatan Jagran Manch spokesperson Chinmay Prabhu to jail. According to official sources, the police have detained another 21 persons for their alleged involvement in the vandalism and carrying out of attacks on the law enforcement members during the clash on Tuesday in Chittagong court premises. ISKCON Pundrik Dham's Chinmay Krishna Das and Bangladesh Samalit Sanatan Jagran Jyoth have been advocating on behalf of the Hindu community across Bangladesh, raising 8-point demands for the safety and rights of minorities. Chinmay Prabhu was arrested by the Dhaka police on Monday from Dhaka airport while he reached there to catch a flight for Chittagong. India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party leaders and workers, led by West Bengal leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari, held a protest march to the Bangladesh consulate in Kolkata on Wednesday. In New Delhi, Union Minister Giriraj Singh said that attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh reflects that the interim government of that country is in the clutches of fundamentalists and sought the intervention of the United Nations in the matter.
अब समय आ गया है कि अब संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ को भी इस पर संज्ञान में लेना चाहिए.
India's Ministry of External Affairs on Tuesday expressed deep concern over Chinmay Krishna Das's arrest and denial of bail. New Delhi said that it's unfortunate that perpetrators of these incidents remain at large, while a religious leader is pressed with charges. Amid widespread violence and social unrest, the Rights and Risks Analysis Group on Wednesday filed a complaint with the UN Working Group against illegal and arbitrary detention of Chinmay Krishna Das Brahmachari. The harassment of media personnel is also on the rise in Bangladesh. The Newspaper Owners Association of Bangladesh has expressed its serious concern over frequent attacks on the freedom of the media in the country. Committee to Protect Journalists, a US-based global media rights body, also called for a swift investigation into the threats of violence against leading dailies of Bangladesh, the Daily Star and Protham Alo, which were threatened in recent days. With Naval Singh Parmar in Dhaka, Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, staying with Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party or BNP on Wednesday urged Mohammad Yunus, the head of the interim government, to forge a national unity to tackle the evolving situation and resolve the existing problem. A 5-member BNP delegation led by its Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir met him on Wednesday evening to share its concerns over some untoward incidents that happened in the country over the past few days. He said, and I quote, "At the meeting, we have emphasized that completing electoral reforms and announcing the election roadmap as soon as possible is crucial." Let's quickly go across to DD India's Naval Singh Parmar joining us from Dhaka. Naval Singh, first of all, has the situation on ground eased out a bit? What is the latest, first of all?
Situation here in Dhaka is very tense because tomorrow there may be a hearing on the petition filed by one of the advocate of the Supreme Court in the High Court regarding the ban on ISKCON and imposing Article 144 in Rangpur and Chattagam cities. So people are worried what will be the stand of the High Court in Bangladesh and what government will take a stand. So some of the media reports are suggesting that the even minister of the government said that if someone is responsible for a particular crime, then entire group or entire organization should not be held responsible for particular crime or any incident. So it seems that the government may not do an adventure to impose ban on ISKCON, but the situation is very we can say tense here in Bangladesh. So both these sides, Hindus, they are worried about the Chinmay Krishnadas release, and the Muslim people are also demanding quick punishment in the case of death of junior advocate in Chittagong court premises.
Having said that, the safety and the rights of the minorities seems to be the prime concern, which is also one of the trigger points. What is the current interim government doing, the steps that they are taking to, to ease out the situation in terms of law and order on ground?
Actually, since last month, the situation here in Bangladesh is like there are many aggrieved party. May it be a rickshaw puller or a battery-operated rickshaw owner, or RMG sector worker, or students, and one college against the another college. So everyone who have their concern, they have their grievances, they come on street and they do demonstration. So there is a chaos and there is a complete absence of law and order control here in streets of Dhaka and other cities of Bangladesh. The reason is the police force post 5th August, they don't have confidence in themselves. So without police force, the country like Bangladesh, which is having around 20 crores of population, it is very much difficult to ensure law and order situation here in or in any particular country. So the main reason is the lack of confidence in police in themselves, as well as the people here thinks that whatever their demand, for that they need to come on street. That only the solution for their mitigating their demand. It means the institutions here in Bangladesh, political or educational or any kind of institution, so no one is secure of its tenure. No one is secure of its tenure, and
there is another yes, but there is another question being raised internationally. The freedom of press, harassment reportedly of media personnel. Even foreign think tanks have raised these concerns. Do you think all this can actually, or is rather, putting some sort of pressure on the current government?
Actually, forced change of regime here in Bangladesh. Many of the news person or journalists were removed by pressurizing or using mob tactics from their jobs. Many of journalists lost their job. Second thing, in 3 pages, the Yunus government cancelled the accreditation card of 167 journalists. So the Committee for the Protection of Journalists and other international forum also took up the issues, and they raised their concern about the protection of journalists. Second thing, in last week, mobs of the fanatical elements do gherav of the 2 leading daily of Bangladesh, Pratham Malo and Daily Star. Even in Rajshahi city, some of the people attacked the Pratham Malo office. So in this way, the journalists are also living in threats and continuous fear. So there are many groups of people. They want to fulfill their agenda, and for that, if someone is coming between them, they used to tackle them with the mobocracy.
Okay. We'll leave it there, but you of course keep an eye on the developments there in the tense situation brewing on ground in Bangladesh, and take care of yourself as well. Thank you very much for joining us from Dhaka. And from Bangladesh, neighboring Bangladesh, the switch over to Pakistan, the situation brewing in Pakistan. The Imran Khan-led Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, in a big clampdown, has called off its protests post-brutal crackdown by security forces, which left many people dead. Earlier, thousands of Imran Khan supporters breached the barriers in Islamabad's high-security zone, demanding release of their 72-year-old former premier, despite warning from the security forces. It may be recalled Imran Khan has been lodged at Rawalpindi's Adilia jail since August 23 in multiple cases. But on Tuesday evening, he had asked his supporters to fight till the last ball and do not retreat. Aman of DD India gets us more.
It was a big relief for the residents of Islamabad. They returned home. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party called off their protests in Islamabad after massive crackdown by police who dispersed demonstrators from Red Zone. These protesters were supporters of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, and their demand was immediate release of jailed leader. The protest turned violent when clashes broke out between Imran Khan supporters and police that left 6 dead and several injured. Experts said the situation is at critical juncture and hard to predict the future.
Now what we have, as I see it, is the kind of confrontation between the establishment and the PTI, led, of course, by Imran Khan. And only one of them can emerge from this standing. It's something which we've had battles between them before, but now Imran Khan is putting all of his cards on the table.
On Wednesday, Pakistan police said they had arrested nearly 1,000 protesters who marched the capital demanding the release of ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan. Khan has been jailed since August 2023 following a conviction in a corruption case. Last night, Imran Khan made a statement from jail and asked his supporters to fight till the last ball and do not retreat. However, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif called the protests extremism. But there were growing calls for reconciliation to prevent future flare-ups impacting regular citizens in the country. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan said that Khan and Sharif's parties should immediately enter a purposeful political dialogue. Besieged by political turmoil, Pakistan's government is turning to draconian internet censorship, which cut the country off from a promising future. During clashes in the capital this week, authorities blocked mobile data in much of the city, citing security fears. Imran Khan was barred from standing in February polls, which his followers said the polls were rigged. The protests at the heart of the capital were led by third wife of Imran Khan, Bushra Bibi, after a planned rally on Sunday was thwarted by a court order. The development had forced the federal government to deploy the army in Islamabad and order shoot at sight in state capital. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DT India.
And still to come on DT India News Hour. Coming up next, island nation Sri Lanka grapples with acute weather conditions. Trump plans tariffs on Mexico, Canada and China. The question is, will it trigger a trade war? And Russia expels German journalists in tit-for-tat move denied by Berlin.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatanlao. Let's switch gears to situation in Sri Lanka, where death toll due to the deep depression in southwestern Bay of Bengal has risen to 4 as Sri Lanka reels under the impact of the storm. The Met Department in the island has said that the storm lay centered at 100 kilometers to the east of the eastern coast of Sri Lanka and will intensify into a cyclone later tonight. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's Navy and Air Force rescue teams are engaged in relief operations to assist people affected by adverse weather conditions. The Disaster Management Centre in the island has said that over 230,000 people across 18 districts are reeling under the impact of the storm. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has instructed all concerned departments to provide immediate relief to the disaster-affected areas. And let's take you across live to DD India's Ahmed Muin Farooqi joining us live from Colombo. Ahmed, what is the latest that we are hearing from the Met Department and the latest on the weather conditions?
Department has said that later tonight, the deep depression will intensify into the cyclone Bengal. And at the same time, it has also mentioned that it is moving northwesternwards, that is towards Tamil Nadu. At the same time, it is very important to understand that relief measures have been taken up already in the island nation. The army and the naval forces have already sprung into action. They are providing all necessary facilities to the public who are impacted by the adverse weather conditions. Already 4 have lost their lives and 6 people are still missing, while 8 people are injured. And already about 15,000 plus people have been relocated into safe locations. While all this happens, the president of Sri Lanka has informed all the concerned departments that immediate relief measures have to be provided to the people in all the areas which are affected by the adverse conditions. While we speak about all this, it is pertinent to note that the Met Department has also mentioned that rains will continue in the northern and north central regions of the island tomorrow as well, as there is a possibility of heavy rains beyond 200 mm over the next 24 hours.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you for those quick updates on the on the condition and the advisory by the Met Department. And now there's some news coming in from Myanmar. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has said on Wednesday that he would seek an arrest warrant for Myanmar's military leader Min Aung Hlaing for crimes against humanity over the alleged prosecution of the Rohingyas. However, Myanmar's junta said that the country was not a member of the ICC and did not recognize its statements. A panel of 3 judges will now decide if they agree there are reasonable grounds to believe that General Min Aung Hlaing bears criminal responsibility for the deportation and prosecution of Rohingyas in Myanmar and Bangladesh. There is no set time frame for their decision, but it generally takes around 3 months to rule on issuing an arrest warrant.
Is the first application for an arrest warrant against a high-level Myanmar government official that my office is filing. more will follow. Today's application is the outcome of an independent and impartial investigation based upon a wide variety of evidence from numerous sources, such as witness testimonies, including from insider witnesses, and authenticated, credible photographic and video materials.
China's Defense Minister Dong Hun has been placed under investigation as part of a wide-ranging anti-corruption probe. Dong is the third consecutive serving of former Chinese Defense Minister to be investigated for alleged corruption. On the corruption charges, Chinese Foreign Ministry said it was chasing shadows. China's military has undergone a sweeping anti-corruption purge since last year, with at least 9 people, Liberation Army generals, removed from the national legislative body. Dong was appointed defense minister in December 2023. His predecessor, Ling Shangfu, was removed after 7 months into the job. Shifting focus to developments in US, Mexico and China have issued warnings of some sort of retaliatory measures as Canada urged unity as United States President-elect Donald Trump's tariff announcements riled the world markets and unsettled its neighborhood as well as China. Trump chose trade lawyer Jamieson Greer as his new U.S. trade representative, elevating a key veteran of his first-term trade war against China. Here's a report.
The leaders of Mexico and Canada have urged dialogue and cooperation after U.S. President-elect Donald Trump pledged to impose 25% tariffs on 2 countries when he takes office early next year. Trump has also promised 10% additional tariffs on all imports from China. China too responded by saying that economic and trade cooperation is mutually beneficial for both the countries and that no one will win a trade war or a tariff war. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke to Trump on the phone shortly after he announced his plans. Trudeau has since said that he is prepared to work with the US in a constructive way.
I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again. We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how the intense and effective connections between our 2 countries flow back and forth. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together. It was a good call. This is something that we can do, laying out the facts, moving forward in constructive ways. This is a relationship that we know takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we'll do.
The other neighboring country, Mexico, also urged caution. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said neither threats nor tariffs would solve the issues raised, and also warned of retaliatory tariffs on US imports if Trump goes ahead. She said that she is planning to write to Trump stressing the need to work together on joint challenges.
A un arancel vendrá otro.
To one tariff will become another, and so on, until we put our common businesses at risk. Mexico's main exporters to the United States, which came to Mexico 8 years ago, why put a tax on them that puts them at risk? Why put a tax on them that puts them at risk? It is not acceptable and would cause the US and the Mexico inflation and job losses. I think that there's going to be an agreement with the United States and with President Trump.
No es aceptable.
During highly charged presidential campaign, Trump repeatedly promised increased tariffs on all imports into the US. Team Trump portrayed the tariffs policy as a key tool to bring back jobs and manufacturing from overseas. However, the experts believe that the new tariffs can have serious implications not only for the US but also for the global supply chains and companies that do business with some of the world's largest economies. Trump made his threat in social media posts announcing 25% tariffs against neighbors Canada and Mexico, and also 10% additional tariffs on China if they don't stop illegal immigration and drug smuggling into the United States. Bureau Report, TD India.
Well, Russia on Wednesday said it would expel one correspondent and one cameraman from Germany's ARD in a symmetrical response to German moves against journalists from Russia's Channel 1 that Bernal denied undertaking. Broadcaster ARD said it did not have official confirmation of reports that its correspondents in Russia had been forced to surrender their accreditation and also did not have further details. In addition, a German Foreign Ministry spokesperson denied that the Channel 1 office in Berlin was being shuttered and said the Russian journalist's departure was released to residents related to residence law matters. Residence law falls within the competences of the regional states or Länder, which makes decisions independently of the federal government in Berlin. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Ministry also said that an idea being floated in some circles that the West should give Ukraine nuclear weapons was insane and that preventing such a scenario was one of the reasons why Moscow went into Ukraine. A Kremlin spokeswoman for the ministry said it was in the interest of the responsible governments to ensure that such a scenario, which she called suicidal, did not unfold. She added that what she called irresponsible actions by Ukraine and its Western backers could bring the world to the brink of catastrophe. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Ministers from the Nordic Baltic states and Poland met Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson on Wednesday for the two-day summit. The meet is focused on transatlantic relations and regional security between the nations. Ukrainian freediver Katerina Saduruska broke her own world record at the international freediving competition in the Caribbean island of Dominica on Tuesday. Saduruska set a new benchmark by diving 82 meters in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Amid snowfall, hundreds of volunteers participated in a mass kimchi making event in Seoul on Wednesday. 3,000 heads of cabbage were used to make kimchi, which were later distributed to vulnerable communities. Italy's land artist paid homage to the upcoming Vatican Holy Year by drawing logo of Jubileum 2025, which is an event in a 25,000 square meters farmland in Italy's Castanaro. The Holy Year Festival will start from December 24th. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Coming up next, on the other side, will ceasefire mark permanent cessation of hostilities as 60 days are permitted reportedly for the full withdrawal of Israeli forces? We discuss this on the other side with the subject experts. And proceedings in both houses adjourned for the day in Indian Parliament today. And National Cybersecurity Exercise in New Delhi explores cutting-edge technology for India's cyber defense. We get you the report.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Lights, camera, IFFI. The stage is all set. Straight from the scenic Goa, we get you all the latest and live action from the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India, only on DD India.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and let's move on to some West Asia related developments. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has said the United States would start its renewed push for a Gaza ceasefire on Wednesday, a day after US President Joe Biden announced a separate ceasefire between Israel and Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. US President Joe Biden tweeted, and I quote, "Over the coming days, the United States will make another push with Turkey, Egypt and Qatar, Israel and others to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza where the hostages released and end to the war without Hamas in power." Earlier, Hamas has said it was committed to cooperating with any efforts to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, where the group has been battling Israeli forces for more than a year. In a statement issued after Israel and Hezbollah agreed to a ceasefire in Lebanon, Hamas also said that any ceasefire in Gaza must put an end to the war there and lead to the withdrawal of the Israeli forces from the enclave. Hamas official Sami Abu Zuhri on Wednesday said that the group appreciates Lebanon's right to reach an agreement that protects its people, and it hopes for a deal to end the war in Gaza. It added that an agreement must end the war, pull Israel forces out of Gaza, return displaced Gazans to their homes, and achieve a hostages for prisoners swap deal. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Jordanian King Abdullah have called for an immediate end for the war in Gaza. According to a statement released by Jordan's Royal Hashemite Court, both leaders during their meeting in the Egyptian capital on Wednesday also stressed the need for ensuring increasing aid to Gaza and ensuring its flow without delay for hindrance. The statement added that they also announced their support and the need to safeguard Lebanon's sovereignty and integrity in light of Wednesday's ceasefire deal with Israel. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah should be used to push for a wider ceasefire in the region. Starmer also said that the UK will continue selling arms to Israel to defend itself against attacks such as those from Iran.
Mr. Speaker, the ceasefire announced in Lebanon is long overdue, but demonstrates that diplomacy can succeed even in the most challenging of circumstances. We must seize this opportunity to build trust, de-escalate tensions, and push for a wider ceasefire. I've set out my position very, very clearly in relation to the sale of capability to Israel to defend itself against attacks such as those from Iran. And I'm very clear that we'll continue to do so.
U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein has announced that the agreed ceasefire in Lebanon is permanent and not limited to 60 days. Speaking to a news channel, he has confirmed that the Israeli troops in southern Lebanon will withdraw within next 60 days.
This ceasefire is a permanent ceasefire. It's not for 60 days. It is a permanent ceasefire that starts at 4 a.m. local Beirut time. At that point, all firing will stop. All rockets, UAVs, Air Force shelling, bombardments, everything stops.
Israel's Minister of Defense, Israel Katz, said that that he will lead an uncompromising enforcement of the agreement. Speaking to his conference on defense exports, Katz also said that efforts will shift focus on reaching a hostage deal with Hamas in Gaza, saying this was the most important goal for Israel.
From here, we look towards the southern front, where the most important goal is to return all the hostages home safely and quickly. The result of the campaign in the north create additional pressure on the Hamas, and I intend to make every effort to create conditions for the new hostage deal and bring everyone home.
Meanwhile, additional Lebanese troops were deploying in southern Lebanon on Wednesday after a ceasefire between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah group came into effect. Lebanese military vehicles made their way along roads in Tyre and Burj al-Shimali in southern Lebanon, driving past civilian vehicles piled with personal belongings as people returned to their homes after the ceasefire as the army reinforced its troops. Let's quickly go across to our special panel joining us on this discussion on DD India. Let me welcome Ambassador Sanjay Bhattacharya, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs of India. Thank you very much, Ambassador Bhattacharya, and also welcoming Professor Swarn Singh from School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Namaste, sir. And Ambassador Bhattacharya, so can it be seen as a rare victory for diplomacy in the Middle East, and credit for which goes to Biden administration, the outgoing Biden administration, aided by France?
Well, I think this particular ceasefire was long overdue. We've seen the situation of war continue for about 14 months now. And the Biden administration had been urging the Israeli side to cease fire both on the Lebanese side as well as in Gaza. We are very happy that the ceasefire has been announced, that an agreement has been reached, and we hope that the sides will implement it effectively and it will lead to wider peace in the region. But let us be very clear about this, that the tensions in the region are not over because the war in Gaza is still continuing.
Right. How do you see the mediation brokered by US and France, Professor Singh? Your take?
I agree with Ambassador. Given that the hopeless situation that has continued for over 14 months, any such indication of a ceasefire is a positive sign and therefore is drawing a lot of welcome remarks from world over. India has also welcomed it. United States taking lead is also a good sign, because United States is a primary actor, a major influence in the way Israel has conducted this conflict both in Gaza and in Lebanon. But remember that this is a ceasefire which is already having reports of violations. So one has to be a little cautious. It talks of 60 days. And of course, we know there is a caretaker government in Lebanon. There is a great opposition inside Netanyahu's government. National Security Minister is threatening that his party will withdraw from the coalition. So in that sense, if you compare to the 2006 ceasefire with the Hezbollah in Lebanon, where again the same exercise of Lebanese forces occupying space closer to the border was agreed upon, but of course Hezbollah came in better. And as Ambassador said, only about 3,700 plus people have died in this particular conflict. 50,000 people have died in Gaza, and that ceasefire does not even touch about the. There are different interpretations as of now on both sides.
Now, this is also, sorry, I'm interrupting you here, but now there are two questions to this now, which are open to interpretations. Now, this is for both of you. Ambassador Bhattacharya, you first. US envoy talks about this ceasefire being permanent, quote unquote, but there are reports which talk about the withdrawal for 60 days. The bottom line here is, Ambassador, that are we looking at a permanent cessation of hostilities, especially, we don't know what happens to Gaza, but at least this one?
Well, on the Lebanese front, I think the terms of the agreement seem to be rather clear, though we don't have a comment from the Hezbollah yet about this. And as you know, Nabi Berri had kind of interceded on their behalf, since the Hezbollah was not directly involved in the negotiations. But essentially what they have said is that the Israeli forces will withdraw from the places that they had occupied in southern Lebanon within 60 days, and the Lebanese army will come into place and occupy those areas. And this has led to great hope amongst various quarters that the civilians can come back. And actually there are certain reports of some civilians wanting to come back to their homes that they had been dispossessed from. The concern in northern Israel, which is the area where Hezbollah was actually launching its rocket attacks, is that will this actually make this place safe for them? And many in northern Israel who are still not willing to go back. So I think these skirmishes have begun in some way. There were reports earlier in the morning of the Israeli army having opened fire at a group of people that they felt were close to Hezbollah. And then there was another incident in which 2 journalists were shot at. So there have been incidents already. But I think the idea is that this is a ceasefire. There isn't a timeline on how long the ceasefire will be, but 60 days is the time within which the Israelis will go back.
Okay. Professor Singh, now this is also seen as a major achievement, at least they are claiming to be, for the US in the waning days of President Joe Biden administration, and there is already this talk about Gaza next. Your take?
I fully agree with you in that lame duck presidency of Joe Biden. This can be seen as a clincher, and he's saying that this will be carried forward even for the Palestinians, whether it happens within next 7 weeks when he's the president or will happen during Donald Trump's presidency is yet to be seen. But yes, it's a clincher. And that was possible, as I said, because United States has been the primary influence the way Netanyahu has carried out this constant onslaught on both Gaza and in southern Lebanon. But we were all seeing that Netanyahu was hardly listening to American presidents. But it seems that if there was any influence, of course, France and particularly United States were influenced. But there are a lot of hiccups, interpretations are different, and the core problem in interpretation of what is agreed upon right now is this. Israel believes that in case United Nations interim forces in Lebanon, UNIFIL along with the Lebanese armed forces is not able to ensure that the ceasefire is implemented in spirit and word as Israel will interpret it. Israel will have right to go and intervene once again, which is not acceptable to Hezbollah.
Okay.
So there's already a difference in interpretation. Second, while they were preparing for the ceasefire agreement, Israelis have really had enormous onslaughts on southern Lebanon, including parts of Beirut, flattening lots of these structures. So even if people want to come back, I'm not sure where they are going to come back in that sense. Right. And the old story of 2006, Hezbollah, will survive only if it stands as a force against Israel. If it moves north of the river, then it will have to find a political role in domestic politics of Lebanon, which is not how Hezbollah has survived and will survive. So sooner or later, Hezbollah will have to come again to the border of Israel.
Okay.
As a force against
all right.
Israel.
Right.
So a lot of hiccups as of now.
Right, sir. So, Ambassador Bhattacharya, the agreement which promises to end a conflict across the Israeli-Lebanese border, what's your sense also in terms of its sustainability, as pointed out by Professor Singh?
I think at the end of the day, Israel would wish to have greater security for its people. And to some extent, the kind of incursion that it had in southern Lebanon was not entirely successful in that particular endeavor, which is the reason why there was also great opposition within Israel to the kind of effort, the military campaign in Lebanon. The Israeli government had not been rather mindful of the suggestions of the Americans on Gaza. They have gone along with the Americans on this particular issue, particularly because the costs were high and the people of Israel were being affected and they wanted that war to end. As to what is going to happen subsequently, I think is really open to debate because most importantly, Hezbollah has not been part of this particular negotiation. And so if Hezbollah were to come back to southern Lebanon and to reclaim that particular area, that security threat that Israel had and northern Israel has felt will happen again.
Okay. One final question, Professor Singh. Is this deal likely to enable Israel to focus more closely on the conflict in Gaza? We know it has vowed to destroy its long-time enemy, the Palestinian Islamist group, which led to October 7, 2023 attacks on Israeli communities and garnered international headlines.
Thank you, Sakal, for asking that. I think Israel had announced that it wants to eliminate Hamas from the very roots. It has actually eliminated much of the population from that part. But when it comes to Hezbollah, interesting it is that the National Security Minister, who is threatening to resign and take away his coalition ministers away from the government, is actually saying that Israel, in case of southern Lebanon, is in stronger position and should not make a ceasefire at this stage and should really defeat Hezbollah now. And in that sense, they have a very different imagination of what they're doing with. And Hezbollah is saying we are agreeing to ceasefire so that ceasefire in Gaza can also be initiated. So there's a kind of a indirect precondition which is being sort of attached from that Hezbollah side here. But we are all saying, at least in this desperate situation, any good sign is something to celebrate. And therefore, ceasefire is something which is a good sign. But we have to be aware that there are going to be constant challenges that whether this ceasefire will exist, survive, thrive, and get peace between Lebanon and Israel, and whether it will lead to any peace vis-a-vis Gaza. There is no mention of Gaza at this stage. So we hope that it makes Israel now comfortable, having virtually decimated much of Palestinians there, to think of some kind of ceasefire. But then ceasefire with who? Hamas doesn't exist according to Israel now.
Ambassador Bhattacharya, so final question. Force giving way to dialogue and negotiation is happening in Lebanon. Can this be replicated in Gaza Strip?
And I think the Gaza negotiations have been going on for a long time and through various iterations. Just today, I think the Jordanian king and the Egyptian president made an announcement about the necessity for a ceasefire and the supply of humanitarian assistance. But more importantly, President Sisi of Egypt also had a conversation with the Qatari Prime Minister,
Yes.
Al Thani. As you know, Qatar had been very key, crucial player in the negotiations
Yes.
for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Yes.
There are also certain signs that the Turkish are probably coming around
Right.
to having a role. So I think the forces are coming together, but whether the Israeli side will agree to a ceasefire at this stage is something that only the Israeli side can say.
Egyptian President Al-Sisi, Jordanian King Abdullah, they've all called for an immediate end to war in Gaza as well. Well, on that note, we'll have to call end to this part of the discussion. Gentlemen, thank you very much, Ambassador Bhattacharya and Professor Singh. Such a pleasure as always talking to both of you. Namaste. Thank you. And moving on to some other stories now, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has just concluded a successful and productive visit to Italy, where he attended the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting outreach session and participated in the 10th edition of the Mediterranean Dialogue in Rome. Here's a wrap-up of the EAM's visit.
We are today.
The winter session of Indian Parliament, which began on November 25th, could not see any transaction on Wednesday either. Proceedings in both houses of Indian Parliament, the upper house and the lower house, that's the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, were adjourned for the day following ruckus by opposition members on various issues. Important bills are listed during winter session, which is expected to run till December 20th, 2024. Here's more.
Both houses of Indian Parliament were adjourned for the day following ruckus by the opposition members over various issues including Gautam Adani indictment issue in the US. Government has listed 16 bills including the Waqf Act Amendment Bill during winter session of Parliament. Let's have a look at important bills of the winter session. Bills in winter session of the Parliament. 16 items of legislative business and 1 item of financial business to be taken up during this session. 11 pending bills have been listed for consideration and passing. 5 bills have been listed for introduction, consideration and passing. Bills listed for consideration and passing. The Waqf Amendment Bill 2024, which amends the Waqf Act 1995. Musalman Waqf Repeal Bill 2024, it repeals the Musalman Waqf Act 1923. Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2024. The readjustment of representation of scheduled tribes in assembly constituencies of the State of Goa Bill 2024. It reserves seats in the Goa Legislative Assembly for scheduled tribes. The Bharatiya Vayuyan Vidhayak 2024 replaces the Aircraft Act 1934. The Railways Amendment Bill 2024 repeals the Indian Railway Board Act 1905 and incorporates provisions of 1905 Act into Railways Act 1989. The Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill 2024 replaces the Indian Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1925. The Bills of Lading Bill 2024 replaces the Indian Bills of Lading Act 1856. The Oilfields Regulation and Development Amendment Bill 2024. The Boilers Bill 2024 replaces the Boilers Act 1923. The Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024. The winter session of Parliament, which commenced on November 25th, 2024, is expected to continue till December 20th, 2024, as per schedule. There will be a total of 19 sittings during this period. With inputs from Fuzail Ahmed, DD India.
In other news, Information and Broadcasting Minister of India Ashwini Vaishnav has said that existing laws need to be strengthened to curb vulgar content on social media and over-the-top or the OTT platforms. While speaking in India's lower house of Parliament, Minister Vaishnav also urged the Parliamentary Standing Committee to take up this important matter as a priority.
आज सोशल मीडिया और OTT प्लेटफॉर्म का जो युग है, इसमें जो पुराने कई इंस्टीट्यूशंस थे, डेमोक्रेटिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस, और जो एक प्रेस का एक प्रकार था, जिस प्रकार से एडिटोरियल कंटेंट होता था, एडिटोरियल चेक होता था, कोई भी चीज़ छप रही है वो सही है, गलत है, उसके बारे में पूरा एक निर्णय लेके मीडिया के अंदर लाया जाता था, वो एडिटोरियल चेक आज खत्म हो गया है। उस एडिटोरियल चेक के ख़त्म होने के कारण आज सोशल मीडिया एक तरफ से फ्रीडम ऑफ प्रेस का एक बहुत बड़ा माध्यम है, लेकिन साथ ही साथ दूसरी तरफ एक अनकंट्रोल्ड एक्सप्रेशन जिसमें कई तरह के वल्गर कंटेंट वगैरह भी आते हैं। अभी जो एग्जिस्टिंग कानून है माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, इसको निश्चित तौर पे और कड़ा करने की ज़रूरत है और मैं निवेदन करूँगा इसके ऊपर एक कंसेंसस बने।
In other news, Bharat National Cyber Security Exercise is playing a critical role in strengthening India's cyber defences. The platform brings together stakeholders from government and industry through brainstorming sessions, practical exposure and simulated scenarios. Bharat NCX is shaping the future of India's cyber strategy. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh has more.
The Bharat National Cyber Security Exercise is underway in New Delhi from 18th to 29th November with an aim to equip critical sector organizations with skills to tackle modern cyber threats. Wednesday witnessed two important launches, National Cyber Reference Framework and National Cyber Range 1.0. NCRF provides a structured approach to cybersecurity governance, and NCR 1.0 is a cutting-edge facility for cybersecurity research training.
To tell you very frankly, cybersecurity is something which cannot be seen in isolation. And the Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned previously, it is no longer cybersecurity, it is national security. It is not only restricted to cyber. Cyber is a part of each one of our day-to-day life. Be it an aspirant who is selling vegetables, or be it somebody who is at the apex level or at the apex corporate level. Cyber affects each one of us. And a loss or a cyber attack on anyone is felt as bad. So that is why it is very important for us to be firstly be cyber aware, ensure cyber hygiene, and have a workforce which is totally cyber security trained.
The hands-on training sessions at Bharat NCX 2024 provides participants with practical exposure through simulated scenarios, enabling them to enhance their proficiency in cyber incident response and resilience building techniques.
The significance of the National Cybersecurity Conclave is that it represents a quantum leap forward in terms of thought process, in terms of the commitment of the government towards more inclusive approach and towards recognizing the fact that the private sector can play a very important role. That's the reason why today we are having the CISO conclave, where we are having CISOs not just from various sectors within the government, but from the private sector. Today, a critical information infrastructure, a big chunk of this is already in private hands. So this kind of a national conclave becomes a melting pot.
Meanwhile, Bharat Cyber Security Startup Exhibition at the venue showcased innovative solutions from India's leading innovators. Bharat NCX 2024 is organized by National Security Council Secretariat in collaboration with Rashtriya Raksha University. India is ranked among top 5 countries most affected by cybercrime in the world. Initiatives like National Cyber Security Exercise aims to ensure that India's cyber defense remains robust and future ready. With camera person Anand Kashyap, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India, New Delhi.
Well, technology should be a game changer in the world of cinema. And pacing up with the changing trends, Prasar Bharati has launched its OTT platform called Waves, which is being hailed by award-winning producers, actors and more. Take a look.
OTT or over-the-top platform has been the center of focus at the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India. And to pace up with the trend, India's public service broadcast Prasar Bharati launched its first OTT app called Waves. The initiative received a warm response from cinema stakeholders, including filmmakers and actors. Speaking on the launch of Waves, veteran actor Rakhi said that it is very convenient for people of all ages.
टेक्नोलॉजी आगे बढ़ रहा है. अभी जो सिनेमा हॉल में नहीं जा सकते, एटलीस्ट वो देख तो सकते हैं. अगर कोई बीमार है, फॉर इंस्टेंस, if I want to see a film after 5 years, I won't be able to go to a theatre. It's better to see it on the screen in house. So that is an advantage.
Amala Kineni, the famous actress, also hailed the platform.
It's wonderful. I'm delighted to be here for the Waves launch as an OTT platform from Prasar Bharati. It's a great opportunity for young talent, an extended life of perpetuity on an OTT platform, that their content will then continue to garner audiences. But the OTT platforms also need to understand the challenges of the business to be able to, find the right balance.
India's celebrated actors and award-winning producers like Guneet Monga, Yami Gautam Dhar, Randeep Hooda, Amit Saad, Kirti Kulhari spoke about the importance of OTT and how Waves can be a game changer.
I heard about the Prasar Bharati and Waves thing, and I think it's great. Like Doordarshan has been something which was our go-to when I was growing up. That's all we had at one point of time, and I love the fact that they are catching up. We usually think that, it's the other players which should, private players which should do what they should do. But I think having Prasar Bharati sort of take this step and catch up, right, to come, just the idea of coming at par with what's happening and keeping up with it, I think is a great step in the right direction.
We have to become more Indian and we have to tell our stories and not be in awe of the West. America has used their industry, cinema industry, for a lot of propaganda across the world. All American movies, they are the good guys, they do nothing wrong, they are the saviors, and they are the most powerful. I think we should utilize that as our country. We've also got a very big film industry, and we should spread that. We should spread our quality.
Times change. You never know what's coming next. There's always surprises which can spring from anywhere, and OTT has been one of the biggest ones where and as an artist, I'm trying my best to balance both. I have successful releases in theaters and on OTT. They both matter a lot to me. For me, they both are audiences. I don't work in a film thinking that, my acting will change because this is on OTT or this is a theatrical. A film is a film, and it's getting globalized. I think that's a massive achievement, and the thought of the world becoming a global image, we're literally seeing it with our own eyes. So it's a big change.
I think the way we are engaging with technology and vision is spectacular, and that's the new India. And it's fascinating and it's very powerful, because all these tools and all these great organizations, whether it's NFDC, Prasar Bharati, IFFI, they're not some They're not like technology, ki koi nayi technology aayi. They've been an integral part, like DD. DD has been, it's the root of India.
Waves actually will have a very pan-India approach, which is very exciting. It goes into even smaller towns and villages. So I'm excited. We have a documentary on a social cause, on child rights. And there could have not been a better platform than Waves and Doordarshan to take the conversation further.
The OTT platform Waves is catering to the audiences across India in 10 languages and is accessible in remote locations as well. With its aim of providing clean and viewer-friendly content to the viewers, Waves is proving to be a game changer in the world of cinema, which is subject to changing trends.
Waves is proving to be a game changer with the coming in of technology and the emergence of technology in Bollywood and Hollywood. So what are you waiting for? Download the app right now, which can be downloaded on the smart TV via a QR code. To download Waves on your smart TV, viewers need to scan a QR code with their mobile, and Waves account subscription will reflect on their smart TV. With camera person Ajit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
Well, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. We showed you that special report. And just to reiterate, Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today and download Waves now. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhattan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.